Let's get it.
Hello everyone and welcome to CedarSpringsTV. I'm your host, Cade Dingman.
And I'm your co-host, Joey Priolo. And if you haven't noticed, Cade and I are a good 30 feet away from each other right now, preventing the spread of COVID-19.
We're doing our part. Are you? Now our first story we're going to be talking about today is about sports and how they've been adjusted and what COVID-19 has done to affect athletics.
And our second story today is going to be about standardized testing and how seniors have had to make accommodations to take the SAT in October.
To end the stream, we'll be talking about school safety and what Cedar Springs has done to keep every kid healthy.
But before we do that, let's meet the cast of Cedar Springs TV.
Oh, Joe, look at all those beautiful faces.
Yeah, man, I am blessed to work with every single one of them.
Definitely. Now, before we start any of our stories, we got to send it over to Roman and Willie with announcements.
This Thursday, September 24th, our freshman football team will be traveling to Reese Spucker High School and playing at 4:30. Our JV football team will be at home against Wayland playing at 5.
This Friday, September 25th, we'll be having an early release day. And if you order your cap and gown before the 30th, you'll receive a free gift to go along with it.
On Friday night, the Cedar Springs Redhawks will be traveling to Wayland to play the Wildcats at 7 p.m. Although you can't be there in person, there is alternate options to watch the game.
And if you're a student wanting to watch these games, you can go to nfhsnetwork.com and you can watch the junior varsity and varsity soccer and football teams play.
Next Saturday, October 3rd, Cedar Springs' annual Powder Puff game will be held at Skinner Field. For those playing and coaching, please listen to the following practice dates: September 23rd, 24th, 26th, 28th, 29th, 30th, and October 1st. Those practices will be held from 6 p.m. to 7:45.
Thanks, guys. I can't wait to cheer on my football team, even if it's from home.
Definitely, Joe. I love me some sports. Yay, sports. Now, speaking of sports, our first story we're going to be talking about today is how sports schedules have been changed and what athletics look like now that we're in the COVID-19 era. Let's send it on over to Jeremy Campione with the first story.
COVID-19, the worldwide pandemic. How is it affecting fall sports at Cedar Springs High School? Well, for starters, all fall sports either lost a third of their season or were negatively affected in some way. For example, Gus Kapolka's football team lost out on their first 3 games of the season. One of those games would have made Cedar Springs history, as they would have been taking on the Rockford Rams, who they haven't played since late 1981. Yet, in place of the bad news, the MHSAA has decided to let every team in the state make the playoffs this year. Soccer would also receive some bad news, as they would lose the first third of their season, but there would be no changes made to districts or playoffs. The same story would also apply to volleyball, as they would lose the first third of their season as well. Boys tennis, girls golf, and cross country did not lose any of their season, but as we all know, are required to wear masks at all of their events. All athletes at Cedar Springs High School are still trying to adapt to the new precautions, but it is very obvious that they are happy to be here and happy to be playing.
Thanks, Jeremy. My soccer season has been impacted significantly by COVID.
But let's not forget, Joe, we're glad to see our peers out there playing their sports.
That's right, Cade. Our next story today is going to be about standardized testing and how both seniors, juniors, sophomores, and freshmen have had to make accommodations to take their standardized tests in October. Let's send it all over to Katie.
This year at Cedar Springs High School, the senior class was offered the opportunity to take the SAT and the ACT in the fall rather than the spring. We sat down with the principal and asked him a few questions about the upcoming tests.
So the SAT test has its own set of protocols, and one of the requirements is that, the students are all divided up according to so many students in a classroom, that, proper test taking abilities, that you can't have food or drink in the testing room. Pretty much that's all standard. The only thing that'll be different would be that yes, you'd still be masked during your testing time, and that we'd obviously want you to have the temperature checks and all that before you go into testing.
Next, we talked to senior Jeremy Campione and asked him his views.
I don't think I'm going to enjoy taking the test in the fall because I don't think I'm going to have enough, refreshed knowledge to be able to score well on it, at least the math portion, because I know we got out in March, and from March to the rest of the whole year, didn't really learn anything new. It was just kind of review, and I think there's stuff I kind of missed out on that's going to be on the test that I need to know to do well on it. So I think taking it in the fall is going to definitely set me back, and it's going to keep me worried for sure.
Thank you. And for everyone taking the test on October 14th, good luck.
Great story, Katie. Now, personally for me, being a senior, I'm so glad I get an opportunity to take the SAT and possibly get college scholarships.
Me too, Cade. I can't wait to kick that test to the curb.
Amen, brother. Now, our last story today, we're going to be talking about school safety and what Cedar Springs High School has made changes to in order to keep the spread of COVID as low as possible. Let's send it on over to Aiden Hovanik with the story.
This is behind the scenes of the Cedar Springs High School safety protocol.
I think nowadays students need to be aware a lot more of what's going on with their bodies before they come to school. They should be aware of that their temperature is, how they're feeling, if they have some flu-like symptoms that might be perceived as a threat, and just be more aware of that as they come into school, so when they get here they're healthy enough to be here. And that way they're basically taking care of themselves and everybody else around them.
Anytime you enter or exit the classroom, you're recommended to use the hand sanitizer located near the door.
I think there's a lot of extra precautions that students should be taking now when they come in. Of course, make sure they're healthy, make sure they feel well, make sure they've got a mask with them because that's got to be on the whole time. Try to stay socially distanced as much as possible. And then all the regulations the school set down, like passing right in the hallways, not going to your locker between class, bringing a lunch with you so you're good there. And then making sure that they're sanitizing and washing their hands as much as possible, not touching their face, and just overall just taking care of themselves and taking care of everybody else around them.
All around their schools, there's arrows on the ground pointing in which way the students are supposed to be walking, so they stay social distanced and the hallways are less chaotic. Another precaution we are using is we are placing stickers on the ground 6 feet apart so students know where to stand when they're waiting for lunch. With all these reminders, we want to make sure we're staying safe, keeping everyone around us safe.
Thanks, Aiden. School safety is more important than ever now.
I couldn't agree more, Joe.
That's right, Cade. Making sure to stay 6 feet apart, wash your hands, and staying home is so important.
As long as we all work together and do our part, we can make sure to lower the spread of COVID and come out of this as a better society.
Well, it looks like we've run out of time. I'm Joey Priolo.
And I'm Cade Dingman. And it's a great day to be a Red Hawk.
Thanks for tuning in.
See you guys later.
Thank you.